broadcasting intimate details and useless information from an undisclosed location in New York City. The Last Show with David Cooper.
All right, we're going to discuss psilocybin therapy. Yes, psilocybin, that compound from magic mushrooms. It has been used in clinical settings. And what's interesting is many patients with depression who've tried the substance had really positive outcomes. And a new study shows just how long-lasting those effects can be. I'm here with Dr. Alan Davis, who has worked on this research. They are the director for the Center for Psychedelic Drug Research and Education at Ohio State University. Alan, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
All right, psilocybin therapy. Let's start simply. How does it differ from just, recreationally taking magic mushrooms?
Well, what's interesting is that folks who use magic mushrooms have been reporting that it's been helpful for them in their lives in different ways. This is just a supported clinical use of this substance in a setting where someone who might be struggling with something like major depressive disorder or PTSD comes into a clinical trial setting and will have help by two trained therapists to oversee their psilocybin session, to prepare them for that session, and then to help them afterward in making sense of what happened.
That therapeutic support from those two therapists, as you've described, is that kind of crucial to its use? Is that going to guarantee a good outcome? Or is it just something you need to do to get a government approval, and it's basically the same as if I took the drug myself?
It's certainly not the same if it has some overlap. So, we know that people who are using magic mushrooms report having meaningful experiences, things that can be therapeutic for them. But in the clinical trials, we're actually talking about people who are struggling to a great deal with pretty major mental health symptoms. So in this type of context, this medical context, we do believe that the support is really critical to making sure that people who are struggling with these symptoms are in a supportive environment, that they're taking this medicine in a way that can have the greatest chance of actually helping them. We actually think that folks who are struggling with mental health conditions sometimes might be at a larger risk if they were to do this on their own to having challenges that can lead to unresolved issues after a psychedelic experience. So in the right setting with the right people, we think that we can manage those things and ensure that we can give people the best chance possible for a positive outcome.
Before we get to those positive outcomes, what exactly would a session look like? What sorts of things would the support to the clinicians be saying? What sort of environment would it be in? What would a trial look like?
So we spend quite a bit of time setting up the right kind of context for folks. We set up a special type of room. It looks much more like a living room environment in someone's home rather than a medical environment. We spend quite a bit of time preparing them for the session. We spend about 8 hours of therapy with each individual. With the session day itself is largely spent, supporting the individual's inner journey. We have headphones. We play a musical playlist that we've created. We spend time encouraging them to explore everything that comes up in the experience. And then afterwards, we have somewhere between 2 and 4 hours of integration therapy after each session. Typically, and in this study, we had 2 psychedelic dosing sessions. So it was a total of about 13 hours of therapy with the 2 dosing sessions added on as well.
Let's talk about some of the outcomes, because a lot of these research and trials are relatively recent. To have one that sort of looks at 5 years or some time length of outcomes is kind of interesting. I suppose that's relatively new, a finding like that. What are you seeing?
So we found in this study that 67% of the original trial participants were still in remission up to 5 years later. Now, that doesn't mean that they didn't have struggles in the interim. I mean, one of the biggest things that happened to everyone was the COVID pandemic, and that certainly happened to these folks as well. Some of them did have a relapse of symptoms periodically through that 5 years, but what they told us was that overall their symptoms had improved and that their lives had improved even if depression came back at certain periods of time during that follow-up. Their relationship to their mental health had changed in ways that they had never experienced before with other treatments. And so we believe that this is one of the first signals that these treatments can be profoundly impactful in people's lives, even many years later.
What actually happens in our brains or happens to our psyche when we go through an experience like that?
We don't have all the answers yet, but some of the early data is suggesting that there are both biological changes that people are experiencing as well as psychological, profound, subjective things. So we know that some folks who are having these experiences will have mystical experiences or things that are deeply spiritually meaningful for them. For some people, that's a new understanding of the world, a new understanding of their purpose in the world. They also report having really important insights or new information, downloads that come to them, and understanding about who they are, and understanding about things that have happened to them in the past, or emotionally cathartic experiences where they're able to release things that they've been holding on to. And overall, these seem to be related to the positive impact that they're having.
For those that had depression and like minor relapses or that it came back during those 5 years, they reported it as more manageable and less tied to their identity. These results are really promising. What would you like to see happen next? I mean, I know this is an illegal drug. You can't just buy it in many places, but you can test it in clinical settings. What would you like to see next?
Well, we actually just got word yesterday that one of the main companies that's pursuing this as a commercial product is likely to be able to get approval within the next 2 years. So we're hopeful that very soon, relatively speaking, we will have this as a treatment available to people who need it. There's a lot of places around the North America right now that are also, seeking this access ahead of, broad scale approvals. We see some of the places in the U.S. like Oregon and Colorado, who have either decriminalized or medicalized psilocybin specifically or other psychedelics. So I have a feeling that in the next couple of years, people will start gaining access to this treatment. And hopefully we can see that it provides another option for people who aren't being helped by the current available treatments.
Are there any risks? Are there any outcomes that didn't go so well for a minority of participants?
There's certainly risks to this, just like there are for any other treatment. There's advantages and disadvantages. Some of the risks to this treatment are, frankly, the hype and the hope that has been created from the trial results. The people's perception, I think, from a lot of the media reporting is that this is going to be a magic bullet. It's going to take away their depression in one session. And it's not the case. For some people, it doesn't work at all. For others, it might work a little bit, but they have ongoing challenges with their mental health. For a lot of people, it is helping them, but it's not solving their problems in life. It's offering an opportunity to reorient one's understanding of their world and to maybe make some changes to help promote more well-being. But it's just an opportunity. It's not going to solve the fact that we still live in pretty challenging times globally, and those issues are not going to be resolved from someone taking a psychedelic.
Yeah, I want to underscore what you just said. It's very easy for someone to catch a headline, to hear a partial report, to just hear about the positive results. This stuff's still in kind of the research phase. It's not widely available. I know there's been more and more clinical trials around the world. What particular groups would be most aided from this? People like veterans, folks with cancer, young people? Like what sort of groups would most benefit from treatment like this?
Well, most of the studies that have happened so far have happened in folks who had tried lots of other treatments and those treatments didn't work for them, something that we call treatment-resistant conditions. So I would say right now, folks who just haven't been helped by other things are probably most likely to find that this is an avenue that they want to explore. At the same time, there's folks who maybe don't want to try the pharmaceutical industry approach or don't have the time or access or money to spend, years in psychotherapy. And so, for those folks, it might be an option for them. I think one of the biggest challenges that we're going to have when and if this is approved at a large scale is that it's going to be like any new technology. It's going to be very expensive at first. It's going to be difficult to access. We also have to train clinicians around the world to be able to deliver this type of intervention, which currently is not something that any of them have the training or ability to do. And so it's going to take quite a while. I think it's going to be a paradigm shift in how we approach treating mental health. And so I think it's going to be some time before people have the resources they need to actually engage in it.
Alan, thanks for talking to me about psilocybin therapy, your research. I really appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks. Have a great day.
Dr. Alan Davis is the director for the Center for Psychedelic Drug Research and Education at Ohio State University.